Hello again, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents, the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss. And today I'm very happy to bring you issue number 45, Harley Quinn, and what a fantastic character. I grew up with this character watching the old Batman the Animated Series when she was first introduced, and that's something to keep in mind when we're watching this. She was created for the cartoon show by those guys, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, specifically Paul Dini, long before she was ever in the comic books. I think it was almost a year after she debuted on the cartoon show before they adapted her into the comic books. So it's interesting to keep in mind her origin was on the show, basically, and then they expanded on it in the comic books. They actually made it even a bit more disturbing and troubling, which of course we'll cover in the magazine, which will tell us everything we need to know about Harleen Quinzel here. And then we'll take a look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm a big fan of this figure, if you guys can't tell. I think it's fantastic to finally have her in the line. Shocked it took this long, and really cool to have her next to her puddin', Mr. J. Sit back, relax, enjoy issue number 45 of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, Harley Quinn. First up, the character section. And it's here we're introduced to Harleen Quinzel, who was a gifted athlete and gymnast all through high school, but wasn't very popular. She was actually picked on by most of her peers for being too smart. It was also during this time at university she met her first real boyfriend, a man named Guy. It was while she was dating Guy that her psychology professor at the university decided to try a little experiment. Needless to say, the entire incident affected Harleen sort of negatively, and she pursued criminal psychology, landing her internship at, of all places, Arkham Asylum. After months of these sessions together, Harley finally helped the Joker break out of Arkham Asylum and became his sidekick in crime. The magazine also shows some interesting shots of Harley trying to choose her new outfit. It's also revealed that Joker didn't really want a sidekick or a girlfriend. He just sort of let Harley tag along because she thought she looked good in the outfit, and he felt sorry for her. The final straw for Harley came when the Joker tied her to a rocket and tried to launch her into orbit. After crash landing in Robinson Park, she was nursed back to health by fellow villainess Poison Ivy. She also gave Harley a serum that increased her strength and agility, and the two became best friends and partners in crime. We also learned that for a short period of time, Harley had her own gang known as the Quintets. The last couple pages catch us up with the character, at least at the time of this publication, and show some of the other random adventures she's been on. We also learned that the last time she was in Arkham Asylum, she was broken out by another villain known as the Ventriloquist, but she actually helped capture this villainess and bring her in. We also see that she ended up with the Amazons on Themyscira and helped free the Olympian gods and fight off an invasion by Darkseid and his minions from Apocalypse. Next, we look at a couple of Harley's classic stories. First, we have Batman, Harley Quinn. And this was Harley's first real big break into the mainstream DC. For years she had been on the animated series, and this was her origin in the DCU. Paul Dini, the man that created her for the animated show, got to write this, and we see her origin story definitively told here. We see her choosing her costume, being romanced by Mr. J. We even get to see her first encounter with Poison Ivy. It's a fantastic comic book series that is illustrated very similarly to the animated series, and it's definitely worth checking out. We also have Countdown to Final Crisis. And this epic year-long miniseries gives us a chance to see Harley in a new light. She's decided to hang up her costume and turn over a new leaf. She journeys to Paradise Island, where she joins up with the Amazons and helps them to uncover a plot by the evil Darkseid, who's trying to capture the Olympian gods and drain their power to add to his own. It's a great epic miniseries that sees Harley going from a henchwoman to becoming a heroine. Harley's Friends and Foes section feature, of course, her Puddin', Mr. J, and her fellow Gotham City Sirens, Catwoman and Poison Ivy. And finally, the original thinking section continues the DC timeline with Part 36, Portents and Omens. We learn in 199 BC on the planet Mars, the Green Martians have triumphed over the White, and are now being petitioned to join the Green Lantern Corps. Finally, we learn in 100 BC that under what is now the modern town of Las Esperanzas, there used to exist an emerald mine that contained elemental fire spirits. And here we have Harley Quinn, and this is another great character, another really, really big favorite of mine. I grew up with the animated series that Bruce Timm and Paul Dini did, and I remember when this character debuted, and she was just so much fun from the beginning. I was so happy when DC adapted her into the comic books, and what a great figure to have along with your Joker and any of the other Batman figures in this line. If you don't have this one and you're a fan, you need to get her. She's absolutely fantastic. Can't help but smile at this one. Everything about her, I think, is really great. I love the pose. It's playful and sassy. I like how her hand on her hip is holding that big, exaggeratedly huge gun. And as you can see, the detailing on the gun is really nice too. There's detail on the barrel, detail on the muzzle of the gun, even on the trigger there's a little detailing, which you'll see better in the picture section here up next. But everything about her is great. Even the face on her is really fantastic, and the costume is so faithful. I really dig it. It even has all the little diamond patches and patterns on her, as you can see. And also, if you can't tell, there is a little bit of a reflective metallic fleck in the paint, both the red and the black. I think the intent was to make it look like the shiny sort of spandex suit that she does wear, and it sort of works. I have a little bit of an issue with it, but I'll talk more about that in the better picture section here in just a second. But I really, really love this figure. I think she's great. I think she's a must-have. I'll talk about her a little bit more here in a minute. Harley stands atop the DC logo, and on the underside of her base is her name in a couple different languages along with serial number. And for some comparisons, here she is next to Batman. A quick shot with Mary Marvel. One with fellow Gotham City Sirens Catwoman and Poison Ivy. We have to have a shot of her with her puddin', Mr. J. And one big group shot with every other Batman villain they've released in the line so far. And if you can't tell by now, I'm a very big fan of this figurine. I love this character, I grew up with this character, and it's nice to finally have her as part of this series. I really don't know why it took so long to get to her, but I'm not complaining. It's really nice that we finally have her, and they did a great job with her. It's a very faithful interpretation of the character. The good. Really everything about this figure, honestly. I have very little to complain about. I think the pose is great, it's playful and it's sassy. I think the paint scheme is fantastic. The costume choice is spot on. The clean edges, love the gun accessory, love the little boots on her too. I think it looks fantastic the way they did that. You can see also she has the diamond logo that is sort of her logo on the ankle there, the red on black. And then further up on her other leg, on her hip there, she has the black diamond on the red part of the costume. I love the checker pattern of the costume itself, really pulled off nicely here. Nice clean edges all the way around, front and back. Love the gun. I think it's a really fantastic touch. It's huge and exaggerated, and it looks like a gag weapon, which is exactly what she would carry, and we've seen her use this many times in the comic books and on the cartoon shows. I dig the frills around her wrists. Really nice detail here, that white frilling, and also the white, I don't even know what you would call that, her collar, I guess, is really well done, and the little I don't know what those puffballs, I guess, are raised and given some depth, which is great. And then, of course, the face sculpt is fantastic. She's got that smile. Love the black lipstick. It's actually sort of a reddish black, really. Love the white face, her blue eyes, and I'm lucky I have a really nice face, I think, on this one. And again, you can see the paint scheme is great. It sort of has a metallic fleck to it, which works pretty well here, I think. But overall, really lots of good on this figure. I think she's fantastic. The bad, the only complaints I have are sort of minor. The paint scheme is nice, I really dig it, and the flecking works for the most part, but there are some patches here where it's a little heavy. The only other minor complaint I have is a little bit of bleeding around the gun hand, but that's on the back, so you really don't even see it. The ugly. Nothing really ugly on her to speak of. The only breakable things on her are her, I guess, pigtails, or whatever you would call those. They could break pretty easily if she fell hard enough and from high enough, so you might want to watch out for that. Otherwise, if you have the ability to, just check the face before you purchase, but I think she's fantastic. Definitely a must-have if you're a Batman fan or a Joker fan. You've got to have Harley Quinn. Looks great with the Sirens, looks great with Mr. J, looks great with all of the other Arkham villains, and she just looks fantastic to have on the shelf. Can't recommend her enough. And I want to thank you all very much for tuning in to this review. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser of the next figure in the line. We're doing another superhero, no more villains, at least for the time being. And he's another member of the Justice League, a really colorful character, and I'm very excited to bring that one to you as well. As always, I am your host, the Monkey Boy, aka Jay to his friends. Thanks for watching.